Hi there, and welcome to my channel. Yeah, the channel that I'm still calling Work in Progress as we evolve, kind of see what the yellow brick road, where it's leading us in terms of kind of how this channel is going to shake out. How is it going to actually unfold? And I think it's going to be always an unfolding. However, I have this vision, you could call it, or this desire to be interviewing or really having conversations is a better way to put it with people just like you and me, just everyday people, to talk about the stories, your stories of your life's journey, to share these stories with one another. That's what I'm looking for, because I really, really believe that as often as we can, when we can share our stories of our life's journey, it will always help somebody out there, because somebody's going through something that you've had going on, or that you maybe had a challenge that you were able to successfully get through, or maybe somebody's just having a bad day and there's something in your story that can help them out. So it's that kind of thing. It's simple, really. It's simple. So again, I know I say this at the beginning of every video because just in case you don't watch the whole video, I want you to know that I'm looking for people that will have this conversation with me about sharing their story or stories of their life's journey. We'll do it on Zoom, and then I'll record it and then have it on this channel, or maybe at some point we'll do it streaming live, who knows. But anyway, I'm putting this out there that, first of all, my contact information is right below this video, so if you kind of could be a little bit inspired by this idea and would like to just even get more information about what I'm thinking about, or better yet, want to share one of your stories, then just contact me with that connection below, the link below, and I'll get right back to you and we'll take it from there. Okie dokie. So on today's topic, right, what do I want to talk about? Well, have you ever found yourself actually not really liking it when life doesn't meet your expectations? Like, what I'm talking about? Like, you have an expectation of what you need, want, desire, all of that, but somehow life's not showing up, meeting these expectations in certain situations. How do we handle that? Well, many of us, we're going to get frustrated, we're going to give up, we're going to scream and yell, we're going to get angry, or maybe we're going to go out and kind of see what we can do in the outer world to have life meet our expectations. And then the other question is, how often are we having these expectations that we expect that we want to be met? In other words, we expect certain things to just be happening in a certain way. And when they don't, what do we do? Or what goes on for us? Or how do we deal with that? In the moment, oftentimes we're not really that aware of what's really going on, but maybe we're frustrated, aggravated, and maybe we even feel we have a right to be like, what's going on out there? Or why did this happen? Or you didn't expect that person to back into your car. They weren't looking at what they're doing. And so we get into these arguments even about how life should be, because it's not right in that moment how I expected it to be, right? The flight gets canceled, or the flight is going to be delayed a day. This is not something that we expected. So we can get very frustrated and like, oh no, I'm not going to get to my destination in time for the wedding, whatever it is. We have those times. Yeah, those times that are very memorable because it's a big deal, where somebody, runs into your car. That's a big deal. And so we have all these issues. So if the flight's delayed, then we're upset with the airlines. somebody backs into my car, I'm upset with them as a driver, and I'm in this game or this story, let's call it a story, of why is this happening? Why is life not meeting my expectations? But we don't really say it that way. We start to just get into the story of, you know, how could this be happening? Because it shouldn't be happening, etc. So we have this kind of setup how life should be. Well, I had an interesting experience this week, actually, on 2 occasions. So one is, and I mentioned this in I think the last video I did, was a family member passed away suddenly. It was suddenly in terms of our expectation, meaning she didn't have a disease, she wasn't diagnosed with, some type of serious disease that, could take her life any day. She was older and not maybe in the absolute best of health, but, no reason to believe that, death was near. So when this happened, it was unexpected, basically. And it's a shock. It was kind of like, but wait a minute, this was unexpected. Oh my God, how did this happen? Or your body kind of goes through, and your mind, like trying to figure it out, trying to kind of get with the situation as it is. And so you kind of go through a story in your mind, and this whole kind of like, oh my God, how did this happen, or what happened, and the story. And then the other thing that happened this week as well was we lost internet for 2 days. For one day we lost power and the internet, and then the second day we got power back, but we lost, we still couldn't get internet back. So it was 2 days without internet, 1 day without power. And because of this is what caused me to start to really get a deeper understanding on a very experiential way of how I have, and I think we all do, we have these expectations that we expect to be met. And when our expectations are not met, we find ourselves in some sort of frustration, not happy, that's for sure. Wanting it fixed, we want it fixed ASAP. And it's just kind of weird as I watched myself go through these 2 situations. The one with the family member that had passed away, it was more of just this kind of a shock feeling, this surprise, but not just, saying a surprise. It was, I guess, just it was so unexpected that it feels odd, off, wrong. I don't know what to say till we get our head around it and start and kind of let it settle in, and it can take more than a day to kind of get this in a place of kind of dealing with it. Now, when the power went out, and of course then we lose internet, I knew that we were having a storm, and so they were suggesting, because there were high winds, that it's a possibility we would lose power. But we typically, where we live, have been quite fortunate in that way and don't often lose the power. And so I just kind of thought in my mind, I don't think we'll lose power. I think we'll be okay. Yes, it was windy, but I don't know. I just had in my mind we wouldn't lose power, and then, boom, we lost power, and we lost power for about 11 hours. And I watched myself during this time, so the power goes off, which of course takes off internet, and how I was trying to deal with this. It was really weird because first it was like, okay, maybe it'll come right back on. In fact, what happened was it came off, then it flickered back on real quick, Okay, thank goodness. And then it went off. So because it flickered back on, I'm thinking, no, it's going to come back on any moment, any second. It must be that they're fixing something or doing something, it'll come right back on. But it didn't come right back on. As I mentioned, it didn't come on for 11 hours. And so, we had to think about, okay, what do we do for dinner, yada, yada. We got very creative. We had a frozen pizza in the freezer, so we were able to do that on our barbecue. By then, the wind had stopped. Oh, that was the other thing. So the wind had stopped, and we're thinking, well, that should help them be able to get this thing repaired. And we can call into the electric company, find out, or the power company. They have a message that basically kept saying they couldn't really tell you when it's going to be back on. So that wasn't comforting at all. But the main thing was really watching my own mind and my own lack of accepting. There was this underlying frustration, this question mark, like, is it going to come back on in an hour, in 2 hours? This, even what to do during this time, because I have no power, so what can we do? It was daytime for most of it until, well, nighttime came, obviously, but now with daylight savings, it stayed light a little bit longer. And we had, ways of lighting, the portable lighting, so that helped. But the bottom line is, what I kept watching and kind of going in a deeper experience was of this whole thing of not having life meet my expectations, not having circumstances, not having situations meet my expectations, and how I have a belief around my things that are going to just be there, get up in the morning, internet's on, power's on, and yeah, this is generally what happens, right? It is. But so I have this expectation, but then when it isn't, my expectation isn't met, I watched how this whole thing would play out. And as the hours went by, on and on, I went from different feelings, emotional feelings, angry, and got into the argument in my own mind about what the power company should be doing, and yada yada, and this whole, and then the whole thing of, I don't like this, I hate this, I don't want to wait, how long am I going to have to wait for this power to come on? Thank goodness it was reasonably mild outside, so it wasn't freezing cold, so that helped, or it wasn't boiling hot either. So I guess, like Goldilocks, it was just right. Or the Three Bears, is that what it is? Yeah. So, really, all in all, shouldn't have been a big deal. I mean, it wasn't like we were so uncomfortable in any particular way, really. But I was, in my own mind, in my own way of dealing with it, because it didn't meet my expectation. And so through the day, I was able to do some meditation and kind of go through all the different times where I've not had my expectations met, and how that would affect me. And the question that came up in my mind is, where did I get this idea? Where did I buy in that my expectations should be met? Where did that happen? I mean, it can be any way possible across the board. You have an expectation that, let's say you go to college, you get a degree in whatever it is, and you have an expectation that you're going to get the job, the ideal job, the job you want, and then maybe the whole thing falls apart and you don't for whatever reason, and now this huge expectation that was there is no longer going to be met, and that can throw a person into a complete whatever, more than a meltdown, and maybe throws them into a whole different place in their life, and or direction in their life. Now maybe years later when they look back, they'll look at it as a good thing, but in the moment when our expectations are not met, we have this idea that they should be. And that's where the suffering comes in, right? It's by having an expectation that we feel needs to be met, right? So, is it we shouldn't have expectations? Yeah, maybe so. You know, I mean, I guess you could say, well, if I don't have expectations to do my best in a job or whatever, then maybe, I'm going to be a failure. If I don't set expectations for myself to succeed in a certain place, then how's that going to be? I just won't get ahead. But is any of that true? No, it really isn't true. The deal is we can have a goal for ourselves. We can say, I want this or that, but that doesn't mean that we should be attached to the outcome. But as soon as we're attached to our expectation, the outcome of our expectation, then we go into suffering. And it feels very scary and very vulnerable to also just look at life as in the moment, a happening, recognizing that it's all uncertain, that life is uncertain. And the truth is, our expectations are meaningless. They don't mean a thing, really. They don't. They don't mean that something's going to be met around our expectations. It's just a game we're playing with ourselves, really. And it's a dumb game. And I really got a sense of this during the 2 days. I, of course, got a sense of how addicted I am to social media, to having the internet, to being able to, upload my videos that I record, all the things. And so that was there, no surprise. But the other part that, like I said, as I kind of settled in and kind of started to look deeper about this whole thing of how we have expectations and life to show up in a certain way, where did this begin? How did this happen? Because it's insane. It is really crazy. But it feels so scary, and we can feel so vulnerable if we really allow ourselves to completely be in acceptance of life is uncertain. Everything's uncertain. And why does that feel so scary? Why is it such a feeling of such vulnerability, raw? We don't like that. We don't like that. So we fool ourselves into thinking differently. And of course, this is, I believe, where we're, identified with the false self, identified like we're in control and we can make things happen or not happen, and that we can direct things in a certain way. And this whole idea of saying life is uncertain and not having expectations puts us, it blows the thing out of the water, right? So I'm bringing this up because I think it's an interesting thing to look at, that's for sure. Now, was I happy when the power came back on? Yes, I was. Was I happy when the internet came back on? Yes, I was. And did I go right back to not really getting into how uncertain life is? In other words, that kind of left my thoughts for a while. Yes, it did. However, it's come back, and I'm really, for myself, looking at how can I become more aware of thinking my expectations should be met, or expecting my expectations to be met. And how can I move outside of that idea into more of the allowing, and it sounds crazy, how can I not allow, being okay, being accepting that life is uncertain. And if I could really live exactly like that, then there wouldn't be suffering, because then anything that's coming up would just be coming up. So that's what I believe we call the flow of life. In other words, life flows through us, and we're just kind of like a boat on a stream, and maybe we get a bump by a rock or something like that, and the stream can get a little, you know, rough at times, or we're on a river and that could get rough at times, but it's not, it's just part of life. It's just part of life. The good, the bad, the ups, the downs, the happy, the sad, it's all part of life. But for many of us, we have put certain parameters around what's okay and what's not okay. And as soon as we get into the not okay, we struggle, we suffer, we fight against it. Now, seeing this is kind of a mind blower, really. And I'm, you know, it's not like see it in one blip and then it's over. I have to deal with this every day now, or I'm choosing to. Really getting deeper and deeper into this idea of life is uncertain, and the idea of kind of watching this flow of life and noticing my expectations. And when I can notice my expectations, then I can take a deeper look and kind of say, well, is this true? You know, that I should have these expectations. It's a big subject. But I just wanted to bring it up as an idea right now. And, you know, because I know so many of us have this going on. And I also know, because of right now going through this evolutionary process, life is uncertain. That's it. It really is. It's always been. Okay, right. Get that clear. It's always been uncertain, but we've had a belief that it wasn't. So it's always been uncertain, but now I believe during these times we're feeling the effects of uncertainty more, or the effects of, you know, our expectations aren't being met, or the effects of like what's going on, everything's weird out there. So we've created these stories that, you know, life should be a certain way, my expectations should be met, and, you know, that's it. That's what we think should happen, and then when it doesn't, we suffer. So I'm bringing this up just to kind of see if you could become aware, like I'm doing right now, is becoming aware of this whole thing that happened this week for me, which was an experience of my expectations not being met, and brought me to the place of realizing my expectations maybe get met sometimes by accident, not by anything that I'm doing, controlling, making happen. No, it's not by that. It's just by happen chance, you know? Just happened, okay, it got met. And, you know, most days we have power where we live, and we have internet most days. But that doesn't give me, shouldn't give me, let's put it that way, this expectation that it should always be met. So again, it's dealing with, you know, allowing what is, accepting what is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Really, that's what it is. And seeing how that experience is in life, that's the challenge for me right now, is I want to feel what that feels like when I'm absolutely in a space of just accepting. Now, how long is that going to take? I don't know if I can live long enough to have that happen, or hey, maybe I'm at a place of being in a spot to be able to do this. I don't know. But I recommend or suggest that maybe you give this a try, particularly if you've had this experience, you know, where your expectations don't get met, and then there's a whole other experience that's not happy when they don't get met, etc. Love to hear some comments from you. Maybe you have some ideas about how you worked through this, or maybe you have some thoughts about this. I'd love to hear what you think. And I hope it's made sense as well. I think it did. It's pretty clear of what I'm talking about. The how to do it, well, there's no magic other than becoming aware of all the times that we have these expectations. So this week was a biggie for me, you know. Within a few days, actually, all this happened. You know, the family member passing, and the power out and internet out, it all happened within a few days. So I really got a good chunk of it. It lets me know that the universe is trying to wake me up, to let me know, hey, you're on the wrong track if you're expecting a certain thing to happen and it didn't. So I believe that this is now the next lesson for me to be working on, and I definitely plan to work on it. I hope not to, kind of blank it out after a while or become unaware. I think this is pretty much something I really want to work toward, because I think it really, where that's going to lead is to peace of mind, and of some suffering. And I see how it is so insane that I have these expectations. It is so weird that I do this, that I've got to look at that other side. So I hope this helped somebody, and I hope it made sense. It's kind of, I'm fresh with this whole idea, so I'll talk about it more as I kind of get it more settled in my own thinking, in my own mind. And kind of get it more put together. I kind of probably have sounded kind of scattered with this. So it's just bringing it up at the very beginning right now, where I'm at. That's what I'm sharing. And like I said, as I start to hopefully get more of a handle on what this experience is really about, and maybe some more ideas of how to work with it, then I'll share more of that as well on future videos. So again, I'm going to just remind you quickly, if you'd like to have a conversation with me about some of your experiences, your stories through your life's journey, then just look below the video and you'll find my contact information, and give me a holler and we'll go from there. Also, if you like the video, please click like. Do subscribe to the video as well, and you can also find out when when new videos come out just by clicking on that little doodad button next to subscribe. So in the meantime, be kind to yourself. This is something I'm still working on for myself, and something I continue, that feels good to continue to remind all of us to learn to work on being kind to ourselves. For some reason, that's so much harder for us to be kind to ourselves. We're often much kinder to others than to ourselves. So until next time, take care, and we'll see you soon. Clicking this thing again that never clicks the first time, right? But I have an expectation that it should. Woo, I'm going to have to look at that, right?